this tells you about me is that I love landscape, trees, water, rocks, rural and farm buildings especially. I'm learning to pay attention to how the light works in the landscape and how it hits it and creating powerful changes in the values. So I'm attracted to detail, which presents a bit of a problem for me when I'm painting because I tend to get lost in the details. And my goal is really to capture the mood and to express my connections to the subject. It's a life learning for me. I continue to work away at it. I feel really blessed to be an Ontarian. This is an absolutely amazing province. I've lived on a farm for 54 years near a beautiful lake, and exploring the outdoors during all seasons of the year is my favorite thing to do. So thank you.
I chose this piece. I knew immediately I would choose it because it's a signpost. It's a direction of how I want my art to go, and I was really shocked when I found out that I did it 7 years ago in 2012. At the time I was doing a lot of watercolor and acrylics and mixed media, and this was the first reduction lino cut print that I did. And I still remember it like it was yesterday, peeling away each color and being just so amazed at the process. So a reduction lino cut is a piece of linoleum that's carved, and then if you put the yellow on, then you carve where you want the yellow to be, and then you carve it again, and you print it, and it just repeats and repeats. It's a long, complicated process I won't go into. But I think the thing about this piece is it reminds me to be lighthearted, to explore, not to take life so seriously, and I think that's something we need to remember these days. And I still need to remember that today. Now I have better tools, I have better equipment, I have more knowledge, but I still go back to this and remember that I have to have a sense of fun with it.
My name is Maggie Harwood, and I've recently picked up watercolor about a few years ago, so I'm still learning a lot. I'm still learning a lot about layering and glazing and the patience required for it. I've always loved to draw and sketch. I do some urban sketching in pen and ink and pencil as well. Most of my artwork reflects day-to-day things. I haven't done, maybe someday I will do more magnificent, spectacular things in nature or things that are really memorable, but for me, the day-to-day things in life. I love illustrating the food we eat, the buildings we live in, the towns, the streets we go down. So I really enjoy just capturing the everyday moments in life. For my piece of this campsite, it's my husband and I with our bicycles and our tent, with chopping some firewood to get started by the lake. So these are some of my favorite calming everyday things that I really enjoy being able to do. This was actually the first time I ever tried to stretch watercolor paper, and I still have some practice to do, but I'm proud of my effort to stretch my comfort zone a little bit. I appreciate the gallery here for pushing me to expand my horizons a little bit. And I hope to do a lot of camping this summer, hopefully on 2 wheels, and I really appreciate everybody taking the time today, and I hope everybody enjoys the show. Thank you for coming.
I've done a lot of traditional panels before and stained glass candle holders, but this is really the first time that I've gone outside my comfort zone and done something that is a little bit different, playing with technique, playing with form. This is actually, it's made with Kokomo head glass, and if you don't know what that is, this is the first glass that comes off the rollers once it's been mixed. And you can tell it's all kind of crimped at the top, a lot of it's been folded over, and that's what gives it the beautiful lines. The great thing about using this in a stained glass piece is you don't have to copper foil the top. You can let the glass actually be the star of the piece, which is amazing and something that I love to do. You're not as constricted as if you were doing a traditional panel. It had a couple of different names before I finally landed on the fourth wall. I thought about Ski Hill, love to ski, so I thought Ski Hill, Northern Lights, the Yukon. But the fourth wall, as soon as a good friend of mine told me, said that name, I'm like, that's it. And for a really good reason. This up here, this stick, is an actual stick that was picked up off the forest floor. And copper foiled it, soldered it, made it look like the rough part of a bark of the branch, and then gave it that the copper look. And this is a piece as much about engineering as it is a piece of art, because this branch is actually holding it together. If it weren't there, this copper cane would spring open and the glass would fall out. So I called the piece the fourth wall, because this stick is actually the fourth wall. It's the top of the frame, and it's what's holding it together. And the fact that it's a part of nature, it's grounded now in the environment, it's grounded in nature, and that is the connection that I have to it. I'm going through a big transition right now with my health and my job, and nature is playing a really big part in everything that I do, and feeling grounded and feeling balanced. So the duality there I really kind of like, the timing of this piece and everything that I'm going through. When I first started this piece, none of that was really in my head. The only two things that were in my head: how can I showcase the glass, and how can I stop it from falling apart? I started with the head glass. You got to imagine it's probably 3 feet long by about 18 inches, and it's this big, huge piece, and it's all rough on the edge. So I started with a white piece, held it this way, held it that way. I tilted it on the edge. All of a sudden, I saw this mountain, which then I thought, it's a ski hill, and the rest just naturally came into focus for me. And the fourth wall was born.
I am reasonably new to art. I started about 5 years ago. I was getting some counseling for depression, and my counselor said, you need to do some artwork. So I started with finger painting, and then from there paint nights, and then I got interested in watercolor, which is something I've always wanted to do. And so this piece is a reflection of my having fun with colors. My work has to have an element of play, of fun to it. How many of you remember Spirograph as a kid? When you remember? Yeah, okay. And it's actually a reflection of the color wheel and the way the colors are organized in panels. And that was my way of learning about colors and practicing my watercolor technique. So this is my piece. Thank you.